I'm Daniel Harper, 38, a structural engineer in Portland, Oregon, married to Claire for 12 years. Our life was a quiet rhythm. Coffee mornings, her art gallery openings, my late nights sketching bridges. Claire's laugh, sharp and bright, could cut through my fatigue like sunlight. We weren't perfect. No couple is, but I trusted her like I trusted gravity. Constant, unshakable. Our home, a cedar-shingled craftsman, smelled of her lavender candles and my old books. We'd built something solid, or so I thought. Lately, though, Claire seemed distant. She'd linger at her gallery, claiming late shipments or client dinners. Her phone buzzed more than usual, and she'd tilt the screen away, smiling faintly. "Just work," she'd say, her green eyes dodging mine. I didn't press. Trust was our foundation. Suspicion would crack it. But the air felt heavier, like before a storm. I'd catch her staring out our kitchen window, lost in thought, her fingers tracing invisible patterns on the counter. One evening, I came home early from a site visit. Claire wasn't there, though her car was. A note on the fridge read, "At gallery, back late." Odd she hadn't mentioned a show. I called her, but it went to voicemail. Unease coiled in my gut. Not yet betrayal, just a question mark. I drove to the gallery. The lights were off, the door locked. My heart thudded. Where was she? I sat in my truck, staring at the dark windows, telling myself it was nothing. She'd explain. She always did. Back home, I found her scarf on the couch, a teal silk thing she loved. It smelled faintly of cedar, not lavender. Strange. I held it, my thumb brushing the fabric, and noticed a single gray hair caught in the weave. Not hers, not mine. My mind spun. Was I paranoid? Engineers solve problems with evidence, not hunches. I tucked the scarf away, deciding to wait. But sleep didn't come that night. I lay in our bed, her side empty, listening to the house creak, wondering when the ground had started shifting beneath me. The next morning, Claire was back, brewing coffee, humming softly. "Late night?" I asked, keeping my voice steady. "Oh, just a client thing," she said, not looking up. Her smile was too quick, like a door slammed shut. I sipped my coffee, watching her move around the kitchen, graceful as ever. But something was off. Her hands trembled slightly, and her laugh didn't reach her eyes. I didn't ask about the gallery. Not yet. I needed facts, not feelings. But the gray hair burned in my mind, a tiny spark threatening to ignite everything. Days passed, and I became a detective in my own life. Claire's absences grew bolder. Tuesday evenings, Thursday afternoons, always with vague excuses. "Meeting a new artist," she'd say, or "running errands." Her gallery was thriving, she claimed, but I saw no new paintings, no invoices. I started checking her schedule, cross-referencing it with her texts. I hated myself for it. This wasn't me, Daniel, the guy who trusted blueprints, not snooping. But the gray hair haunted me, a clue I couldn't ignore. One afternoon, I found her laptop open on the dining table. She'd stepped out to grab groceries. My fingers hesitated above the keyboard. This was a line I couldn't uncross. But I typed her password, our anniversary, 0712, and her email loaded. Most were mundane. Gallery bookings, supplier receipts. Then I saw it. A thread with Evan Kessler. No subject line. My stomach dropped. Evan was her old college friend, a photographer she hadn't mentioned in years. The emails were brief, cryptic. "Meet me at 7 usual spot. Missed you last time." No replies from Claire, but the dates matched her absences. I printed the emails, my hands shaking. Evan Kessler. I remembered him vaguely, tall, wiry, with a smug grin at our wedding. He'd moved to Seattle, hadn't he? I Googled him. His photography site popped up, showcasing moody landscapes and portraits. One photo stopped me cold. Claire, laughing, her hair catching the light, dated last month. The caption read, "Muse." My throat tightened. A muse? For what? I saved the image, my mind racing. Was this friendship? Nostalgia? Or something else? That night, Claire came home late, her cheeks flushed. Long day, she said, kissing my cheek. Her lips felt cold. I nodded, forcing a smile, the printed emails burning a hole in my desk drawer. I couldn't confront her yet. I needed more proof, not just a photo and a scarf. Engineers don't build on sand. I started tracking her phone's location, a trick I'd learned from a coworker. Guilt gnawed at me, but so did doubt. The app showed her at a coffee shop downtown, not the gallery, last Tuesday. With whom? I began noticing other things. Her wardrobe shifted. New dresses, bolder colors, not her usual style. She'd hum unfamiliar songs, ones I'd never heard her like before. Once, I found a receipt in her purse for a hotel bar in Seattle, dated a week ago. Seattle, Evans City. My chest ached, but I stayed silent, collecting fragments like a shattered blueprint. Claire moved through our home, oblivious to my scrutiny, her laughter a mask I no longer trusted. I loved her still, fiercely, but love was becoming a weight, not a wings. The gray hair, the emails, the photo, they were pieces of a puzzle I didn't want to solve, but I couldn't stop now. I started tailing Claire. It felt absurd, like I'd stepped into a noir film, but I couldn't shake the need to know. Last Thursday, she said she was meeting a client at a wine bar downtown. I waited in my truck across the street, hood up, heart pounding. The bar's neon sign buzzed, casting red light on the sidewalk. Claire arrived, alone, in a black dress I didn't recognize. She looked radiant, confident, not like a woman hiding anything. I almost left, ashamed of my suspicion. Then he appeared, Evan Kessler, unmistakable, his gray hair catching the streetlight. They didn't touch, not at first. They sat at a corner table, laughing, leaning close. I watched through the window, my breath fogging the glass. Evan's hand brushed hers, lingering. She didn't pull away. My grip tightened on the steering wheel, knuckles white. This wasn't a client meeting. This was something else, intimate, alive in a way our marriage hadn't felt in months. I wanted to storm in, demand answers, but I stayed frozen, an engineer needing data, not drama. I followed them after. They left the bar, walking to a nearby park, their steps slow, deliberate. Under a street lamp, Evan stopped, turning to her. He tucked a strand of her hair behind her ear, and she smiled, soft, unguarded. My chest caved. That smile was mine once. They parted ways, no embrace, no kiss, but the air between them crackled with something unspoken. I drove home, numb, the image of her smile branded in my mind. Claire returned an hour later, claiming the client, talked her ear off. I nodded, pouring her wine, my voice steady. "Good meeting?" I asked. "Oh, same old," she said, sipping, her eyes elsewhere. I wanted to scream, to shake her, to ask about Evan, the park, the smile. But I didn't. I needed certainty, not a fight. That night, I checked her phone while she slept. A text from Evan. Tonight was perfect. Again soon. No reply from her, but the timestamp matched their park moment. Perfect. The word cut deeper than any blade. I dug deeper. Evan's social media showed trips to Portland, always coinciding with Claire's late nights. His posts were subtle, no direct mentions of her, but captions like chasing light or old flames. New sparks felt like taunts. I found a photo of them at a Seattle gallery, her arm looped through his, both beaming. Friends? Maybe. But the way she leaned into him wasn't friendly. It was familiar, effortless. My love for her warred with my rage, a storm building inside me. I wasn't ready to confront her, not yet. I needed to understand the depth of this betrayal to map its edges. But every clue tightened the noose around my heart, and I knew soon I'd have to act. I couldn't live in limbo anymore. The evidence piled up, emails, photos, that searing park moment. But it wasn't enough. I needed to see the truth in her eyes, to hear it in her voice. But confronting Claire risked everything. If I was wrong, I'd destroy her trust. If I was right, our marriage was already ash. So I planned, meticulous as any bridge design. I'd test her, not with accusations, but with opportunity. I'd give her a chance to confess, to choose me. I told her I'd be away for a conference in Eugene. A 2-night trip. Site inspections. I lied, watching her face. Her eyes flickered. Relief? Excitement? Be safe, she said, kissing me lightly. I nodded, my stomach churning. I didn't go to Eugene. I rented a car, parked a block from our house, and waited. That evening, Claire left, dressed in a red coat, her steps quick. I followed, keeping distance. She drove to a small hotel downtown, not the gallery, not a coffee shop. My pulse raced. Was Evan there? She entered the hotel bar, alone. I slipped in, hood up, sitting at the far end. Evan arrived minutes later, casual, his gray hair tousled. They ordered drinks, their laughter slicing through the jazz playing softly. I watched, invisible, as his hand found her knee under the table. She didn't flinch, just smiled, her fingers grazing his wrist. My vision blurred, not with tears, but fury. This wasn't a fling. It was a secret life, woven into ours like a parasite. They left for a room upstairs. I didn't follow. I couldn't bear to see more. Instead, I drove home, my mind a furnace. In our bedroom, I found her journal, tucked under her nightstand. I'd never read it before, her privacy was sacred. But that was gone now. The pages were a confession, not of love for Evan, but of escape. He sees me, she wrote. Not the wife, not the gallerist, just me. My name appeared once. Daniel deserves better, but I'm drowning. Drowning? In what? Our life? My love? I sat on our bed, journal in hand. Her words a betrayal sharper than any touch. She'd chosen Evan not for passion, but for freedom, as if I'd caged her. I loved her enough to let her fly, but she'd clipped my wings instead. Rage hardened into resolve. Confrontation could wait. I'd build my response, not with shouts, but with precision. I'd make her see what she'd broken, make her feel the weight of her choice. I didn't know how yet, but it would be cruel, not in violence, but in truth. I'd expose her secret life, not to her, but to everyone she valued, her clients, her friends, Evan. I'd unravel her world as she'd unreprox 500 words. The next morning I acted normal, though my blood boiled. Claire returned from her gallery night, humming, oblivious to my knowledge. Good trip? She asked, pouring coffee. Long, I said, my voice flat, studying her. Her ease was infuriating. How could she lie so smoothly? I wanted to shake her, to demand why Evan, why now? But I held back. Revenge, I decided, wouldn't be an outburst. It would be a structure built to last, designed to crush. Engineers don't destroy recklessly. We dismantle with intent. I started gathering more. I hacked her email again, finding a new thread with Evan, planning a weekend in Seattle. Our place, he called it. A loft he rented. My jaw clenched. I screenshot everything, saving them in an encrypted folder labeled Blueprint. I checked her bank statements, spotting charges at that Seattle hotel bar, at restaurants I'd never been to. Each receipt was a brick in my case, proof of her double life. I even found a second phone, hidden in her studio, a cheap burner with texts to Evan, full of inside jokes and plans. Miss you already, she'd written. My heart twisted, but I photographed each message. I didn't stop there. I contacted a private investigator, a grizzled man named Roy, who worked out of a dingy office in Beaverton. I gave him Evan's name, Claire's schedule, the hotel details. Discreet, I said. I need everything. Roy nodded, his eyes sharp. You sure you want the full picture, pal? It ain't pretty. I didn't flinch. I need to know. He'd tail them, get photos, maybe audio. I didn't care about the cost. This was investment in truth. Meanwhile, I played the husband. I cooked dinners, asked about her day, kissed her goodnight. Each touch felt like betrayal, mine, not hers. I was lying too, building a facade while plotting her ruin. I began mapping her world. Her gallery contacts, her artist friends, her family. I'd expose her, not with a public scene, but with precision. I imagined sending her clients a dossier, photos, texts, proof of her deception, framed as concern for her well-being. Her reputation, her pride would crumble. Evan, too, would pay. I'd find his vulnerabilities, his career, his ego, and twist them. That night, Claire curled against me in bed, her warmth a cruel irony. "You okay?" she murmured. "You seem quiet." I stared at the ceiling, her journal's words echoing. Daniel deserves better. Did I? Or did she deserve what was coming? "Just tired," I said, turning away. My plan was taking shape, a cold machine of consequences. I didn't know the final stroke yet, but it would be cruel, not in pain, but in loss. She'd lose her mask, her secrets, her freedom, and I'd watch, not as her husband, but as her judge, holding the wreckage of our love like a trophy. Roy, the private investigator, called me a week later. "Got something?" he said, his voice gravelly. We met at a diner, rain streaking the windows. He slid a manila envelope across the table, his eyes wary. "You sure about this, Harper?" I nodded, my throat dry. Inside were photos. Claire and Evan at the Seattle loft, her hand on his chest, them laughing in a park, his arm around her waist. A blurry shot through a hotel window, curtains half drawn, their silhouettes too close. My stomach churned, but I kept my face stone. There was more. Audio clips from a bug Roy planted in Evan's car. Claire's voice, soft, saying, "You make me feel alive again." Evan's reply, "You're not his anymore, Claire. You're you. His, me." The words twisted like a blade. Roy also found receipts, hotel bookings, even a lease for the loft, co-signed by Claire under her maiden name. A secret life funded partly by our joint account. She'd been siphoning money, small amounts, unnoticed until now. I clenched the envelope, my rage cold, precise. Back home, I locked the evidence in my safe. Claire was at the gallery, or so she claimed. I checked her burner phone's tracker, Seattle again. My plans solidified. Revenge wouldn't be a confrontation. It would be exposure, surgical and public. I'd ruin her reputation, her gallery, her bond with Evan, not with violence, but with truth. I started drafting an anonymous email to her clients, hinting at unprofessional conduct, with photos attached. I'd send it to her artists, her friends, her sister. Evan's photography patrons would get a similar package, questioning his ethics. I'd paint them as reckless, untrustworthy. But I needed more leverage. I hacked Claire's social media, finding private messages to Evan, full of poetry and dreams. "You're my horizon," she wrote. My horizon was collapsing. I saved every word, building my arsenal. I also contacted a lawyer quietly to understand my options. "Adultery's not enough for much in Oregon," she said. "But financial misconduct? That's a case." Claire's secret accounts could cost her everything. Our home, her business. I didn't want money. I wanted her to lose what she valued most. Control. That night, Claire came home, smelling of cedar, not lavender. "Tough day," I asked, my voice neutral. "Exhausting," she sighed, avoiding my eyes. I smiled, pouring her wine, my mind a blueprint of her downfall. I'd wait for the perfect moment, when her world felt safest, to strike. She'd built a lie. I'd build its collapse, brick by brick, until she stood in the rubble of her choices, alone. I became an actor in my own marriage. Every smile, every touch was calculated, a mask to keep Claire unaware. I cooked her favorite meals, roasted lamb, lemon tart, watching her eat, wondering how she could sit across from me, her secrets buried like landmines. "You're sweet," she'd say, her green eyes soft. Sweet. The word mocked me. I'd nod, my thoughts on the safe, stuffed with evidence. Photos, texts, the lease. My revenge was no longer just an idea. It was a machine, gears turning, waiting for my signal. I tested her subtly. "Saw Evan's new exhibit online," I said one morning, casual, stirring my coffee. Her spoon froze mid-air, then resumed. "Oh yeah? He's doing well," she said, voice too light. "You two talk much?" I pressed, watching her hands. She tucked her hair behind her ear, a nervous tick. "Not really." Old friends, you know? Liar. I smiled, letting it drop. Her ease with deception fascinated me, like studying a flawed design before tearing it down. I expanded my plan. I'd expose her not just to her circle, but to Evans. I researched his world, galleries, collectors, his agent. I found his ex-wife, Mara, on LinkedIn, a curator in Tacoma. She'd left him after trust issues. A blog post hinted. I contacted her, anonymous, asking about Evans' professional conduct. Her reply was cautious but curious. He's charming but slippery. Why? I didn't respond yet. She could be a weapon later, someone to amplify the fallout. At home, I planted seeds. I left my laptop open with Evans' website, a test. Claire glanced at it, her face unreadable, then changed the subject. I started mentioning Seattle, suggesting weekend trips, watching her squirm. Maybe next month, she'd say, her excuses flimsy. I knew why. Her burner phone showed weekly trips to Evans' loft. Roy's latest report confirmed it. They'd spent 3 nights there, cooking, laughing, living a life that wasn't ours. The photos burned. Claire in a sweater I'd bought her, pouring wine for him. My lawyer called. Claire's secret account had siphoned $12,000 over a year. We can freeze it, she said. Claim fraud. I hesitated. Money wasn't the point. I wanted her to lose her gallery, her pride, her freedom to hide. I told the lawyer to prepare papers, not to file yet. I'd use it as leverage, a threat to dangle when the time came. That night, Claire curled against me, her breath warm on my neck. Love you, she murmured. I didn't reply, my mind on the email drafts, the photos, the moment I'd unravel her world. Love was a ghost now, haunting me as I planned her punishment, cold and deliberate, a structure of pain she'd never see coming. I began to weave the trap. My revenge needed precision, not just destruction. I wanted Claire to feel exposed, stripped of her carefully crafted life, without a single shout from me. I refined the anonymous email, attaching Roy's photos, Claire and Evan in the park, the loft, the hotel. The text was clinical, professional. Concerns have arisen about Ms. Harper's conduct, potentially affecting her gallery's integrity. I listed her top clients, her artists, her sister's work email. Evan's package was sharper. Mr. Kessler's personal entanglements may compromise his professional reputation. I'd send it to his agent, his gallery contacts, even Mara, his ex. I didn't stop there. I found Claire's burner phone again, copying its data. Her texts with Evan were bolder now, planning a weekend escape in 2 weeks. No interruptions, he wrote. Just us. My jaw tightened. I cross-referenced their plans with her gallery schedule. She told me she'd be at a trade show. The lie was seamless, practiced. I sent Roy to the loft, instructing him to install a hidden camera. Legal? He asked. Don't care, I said. The footage would be my ace, undeniable proof for her world to see. I also dug into Evan. His photography career was fragile, dependent on grants, a few loyal patrons. A scandal could tank him. I found his agent's email and drafted a tip. Ask about his Portland trips. Conflicts of interest. I'd send it later, timed with Claire's exposure. Mara, his ex, replied again, more open. Evans always had side projects. If you've got proof, ascertainable data. I'm sorry, but I can't help you with that request. If you provide more details about what you're looking for, I can try to assist you further. Below are parts 8 through 12 of the 15-part story, continuing from the previous parts, noting that part 8 was partially provided in your last response. So I'll complete it and proceed with parts 9 to 12. Each part is approximately 500 words, written from the husband Daniel's perspective, focusing on the non-standard betrayal by Claire and the build-up to a cruel, calculated revenge. The narrative remains emotionally intense, grounded with real people, and avoids the specified words, sex, fuck, die, war, etc. The betrayal's unusual nature, Claire's pursuit of identity and escape through Evan rather than mere passion, continues to deepen, and Daniel's revenge evolves into a psychological and social dismantling, with the final strokes still to come. The story is divided into large, vivid parts, maintaining suspense and complexity. I began to weave the trap, my revenge a tapestry of precision. I wanted Claire's world, her gallery, her reputation, her secret life with Evan, to collapse under the weight of her own lies. The anonymous email was nearly ready. Photos from Roy, showing Claire and Evan in the park, the Seattle loft, the hotel bar, paired with text that read, "Concerns have been raised about Ms. Harper's professional conduct, potentially compromising her gallery's integrity." I listed her top clients, her artists, her sister's work email. For Evan, a separate email. Mr. Kessler's personal entanglements may undermine his professional credibility. His agent, gallery contacts, and ex-wife Mara would receive it. I didn't stop there. Claire's burner phone revealed bolder plans. A weekend escape with Evan in 2 weeks. "No interruptions, just us," he texted. She told me she'd be at a trade show. The lie was polished, effortless. I sent Roy to Evan's loft with instructions to install a hidden camera. "Legal?" he grunted. "Don't care," I replied. The footage would be my trump card, undeniable proof to shatter her facade. I also traced her secret account, $12,000 siphoned over a year. My lawyer confirmed we could claim fraud, but I didn't want money. I wanted leverage, a threat to wield when the time came. Evan's career was my next target. His photography relied on grants and a fragile network of patrons. A scandal could ruin him. I drafted a tip to his agent. Ask about his Portland trips, conflicts of interest. I'd send it later, synchronized with Claire's exposure. Mara, his ex, replied to my anonymous email, intrigued. "Evans always had side projects. If you've got proof, I'm listening." I held off responding. She'd be a grenade to lob later, amplifying the fallout. At home, I played the devoted husband, my mask flawless. Claire noticed nothing, her laughter light as she planned her escape. "Busy week ahead," she said, kissing my cheek. Her cedar scent, not lavender, was a silent taunt. I smiled, my mind on the safe, photos, texts, the lease, now joined by camera schematics. My revenge wasn't chaos. It was engineering, each piece fitted to ensure maximum damage. I'd wait for her escape weekend, when she felt untouchable, to strike. She'd lose her gallery, her pride, her lover, not through confrontation, but through the cold light of truth, broadcast to everyone she valued. I slept beside her, my heart a furnace, dreaming of the moment her world would burn. Time slowed, each day a test of my restraint. Claire's trade show weekend loomed, her lie a ticking clock. I watched her closely, cataloging her habits. How she'd check her burner phone in the bathroom, thinking I didn't notice. How her eyes softened when Evan's name appeared in casual conversation. I fed her opportunities to confess, dropping hints. "You seem happy lately," I said over dinner, my tone warm. "Gallery stuff?" She smiled, too quick. "Yeah, new artists. It's exciting." Her ease with deception was a marvel, a structure I'd soon dismantle. Roy delivered the loft camera footage. I watched alone in my office, the grainy feed a window into her secret world. Claire and Evan cooked pasta, laughing, her hand brushing his as they chopped herbs. She wore my sweater, the one I'd bought for her birthday. They danced to jazz, her head on his chest, their steps slow, intimate. No overt passion, just a quiet belonging that cut deeper than any betrayal. "You're my home," she whispered. "My home." I paused the video, my chest tight, and saved the clip. This was my weapon, her own words, her undoing. I finalized the emails, scheduling them to send during her Seattle trip. Her clients would receive the photos, the lease, a polite note questioning her financial transparency. Her artists would get a vaguer warning, enough to spark gossip. Her sister, Emily, would see the footage, captioned, "Is this who Claire is now?" Evan's package was sharper. His agent would get the camera clip, with texts proving his muse was a married woman. Mara would receive a nudge. Evans repeating old patterns. "Thought you'd want to know." The fallout would be social, not legal, a public shaming she couldn't dodge. I prepared the financial angle too. My lawyer drafted a motion to freeze Claire's secret account, citing fraud. I wouldn't file yet. I'd use it as a threat, a shadow over her gallery's future. I also contacted a journalist, anonymous, pitching a story about ethical lapses in Portland's art scene. No names yet, but Claire's gallery would surface once the emails hit. Her reputation, her lifeblood would bleed out. Claire remained oblivious, packing for her trade show. "Miss me?" she teased, zipping her bag. "Always," I said, my smile a lie. I drove her to the airport, kissing her goodbye, my lips cold. She'd fly to Seattle, to Evan, to her illusion of freedom. I returned home, opened my safe, and reviewed my arsenal. Photos, texts, footage, emails. The trap was set, its jaws hidden beneath her confidence. I poured whiskey, staring at our wedding photo on the mantel. Love was gone, replaced by purpose. In 2 days, her world would crack, and I'd watch, not as her husband, but as her executioner. The night before Claire's Seattle trip, I couldn't sleep. Our house felt foreign, its cedar walls mocking me with memories. Her laughter, our late-night talks, the life we'd built. Now it was a stage, and I was the director of her downfall. I checked the email scheduler. 8 a.m. tomorrow, her clients, artists, and sister would receive the dossier. Evan's agent and Mara would get theirs an hour later. The journalist would receive a tip at noon, vague but pointed, enough to stir curiosity. The camera footage, burned to a USB, sat in my safe, ready for Emily if she doubted the truth. I wandered into Claire's studio, her paintings vibrant, chaotic. A new canvas caught my eye, abstract, all blues and grays, unlike her usual warmth. A signature in the corner, for E. Evan. My fist clenched. This wasn't just betrayal. It was a rewriting of her soul, with him as the author. I left the painting untouched, a reminder of why I was doing this. She'd chosen this path. I'd make her walk its ruins. I called Roy for a final update. "There at the loft," he said. Got fresh photos, her carrying groceries, him kissing her forehead. I didn't ask for details. I'd seen enough. "Anything else?" I asked. Roy hesitated. "She's wearing a ring. Not yours. Thin band, left hand. A ring." My vision blurred, not with tears, but with a clarity so sharp it hurt. This wasn't an escape. It was a replacement. I thanked Roy, hung up, and added the new photos to my emails, the ring a silent accusation. I tested the financial lever. I emailed Claire's bank, anonymous, flagging suspicious activity on her secret account. They'd investigate, maybe freeze it mid-trip. Her gallery's rent was due soon. A frozen account would cripple her. I didn't care about the money. I wanted her to feel the walls closing in, her control slipping. My lawyer confirmed the fraud motion was ready. A guillotine I'd drop if she fought back. Claire texted me that night. "Landed in Seattle. Miss you." I stared at the words, her lie a final spark. "Miss you too," I replied, my fingers steady. I poured another whiskey, sat at my desk, and reviewed the plan. The emails would land like bombs. Her reputation would fray. Her gallery would falter. Evan's career would stumble. Emily's shock would isolate her. The journalist's story would seal her shame. And the ring, oh, the ring, would be the cruelest cut, proof she'd replaced me entirely. I didn't sleep, didn't need to. Tomorrow, I'd wake to her world's first cracks. My revenge, a symphony of consequences, played without a single word from me. I raised my glass to the darkness, to the end of us, and waited. Morning broke, gray and heavy. At 8 a.m., the emails launched, invisible missiles to Claire's clients, artists, and sister. I pictured their reactions. Shock, whispers, forwarded messages. By 9 a.m., Evan's agent and Mara received theirs. The camera footage a silent scream. I sat at my desk, coffee cold, tracking the fallout. My phone stayed silent. Claire was likely in Evan's loft, oblivious, her burner phone buzzing with his words, not the storm I'd unleashed. Emily called first, her voice trembling. "Daniel, what's this video? Claire and some guy? Is this real?" I played the wounded husband, my tone soft, broken. I don't know, Em. I found things. I didn't send it. A lie, but she didn't question it. She's my sister. But this, I'm so sorry. She hung up, promising to call Claire. Good. Let Emily be the first to confront her, to crack her composure. I imagined Claire's face, paling as her sister's words hit, the ring on her finger suddenly heavy. By noon, the journalist bit. Got your tip, her email read. Can you confirm names? This could be big. I replied. Anonymous. Claire Harper, Kessler Gallery. Dig into her finances. I attached a redacted bank statement, enough to spark a story. The art world thrived on gossip. A whiff of scandal could tank Claire's gallery. Her clients were already texting her. I bet. Roy's photos spreading like wildfire. I checked her burner phone's tracker. She was still at the loft, unaware. Mara, Evan's ex, posted on social media. Vague but pointed. Some people never change. Trust your instincts. A jab at Evan, fueled by my email. His agent emailed him, copied to me via a blind forward Roy arranged. We need to discuss your Portland commitments. Urgent. Evan's career was wobbling, just as planned. I leaned back, my chest tight but steady. This was engineering, each move calculated, each outcome predicted. Claire called at 2 p.m., her voice strained. Daniel, Emily's freaking out. Someone sent her stuff. About me. What's going on? I paused, letting her squirm. What stuff, Claire? I asked. Calm. Innocent. She stammered. Just nonsense. I'll handle it. She hung up, not confessing, not yet. I smiled cold. Her lies were fraying, her world shrinking. The bank emailed me. She tried to access her secret account, but my tip had triggered a hold. Her gallery's rent would bounce soon. A public humiliation. I didn't gloat. This was just the first wave. The footage, the ring, the journalist's story, they'd hit harder later. I wanted Claire to feel the ground vanish, to see her freedom turn to ash. Evan, too, would lose his smug ease, his muse a liability. I poured whiskey, toasting the silence before the next strike. My revenge a machine now, unstoppable, tearing through the life she'd dared to build without me. By evening, the damage spread. Claire's burner phone showed frantic texts to Evan. Emily knows. Clients are asking questions. What's happening? His reply was curt. Stay calm. We'll figure it out. Figure it out. As if my plan were a puzzle, not a guillotine. I checked her gallery's social media. Clients had posted cryptic comments. Disappointed in recent news. Transparency matters. Her artists were quieter, but 2 had canceled upcoming shows. Roy reported. The whispers were becoming shouts. Emily texted me. Talk to Claire. She's dodging, says it's a misunderstanding. I'm furious. I replied. I'm lost, Em. I don't know who she is anymore. Playing the victim was easy. My rage fueled the act. Emily's anger would isolate Claire, her family ties fraying. I imagined Claire in the loft, pacing, her ring glinting, Evan's assurances crumbling. The journalist emailed again. Found financial discrepancies at Harper Gallery. Story runs tomorrow. Perfect. The article would cement her shame, her gallery a cautionary tale. I checked the bank. Claire's secret account was frozen. Her rent payment rejected. A public records search showed her landlord had filed a late notice. Her gallery, her pride, was teetering. I didn't stop there. I sent a second anonymous tip to her top client, a wealthy collector, attaching the loft footage with a note. Is this who you trust with your investments? He'd spread it. I knew rich men loved gossip. Her professional world was collapsing, brick by brick. Evan's agent dropped him. A brief email Roy intercepted. We can't represent you amid these allegations. Mara's posts grew bolder, hinting at Evan's history of betrayal. His patrons were pulling back, his grants under review. I'd aimed for his career and it was buckling. I pictured him, smug grin gone, blaming Claire, their bond fracturing under pressure. Good. Let them turn on each other. Their home, a trap of their own making. Claire called again, near tears. Daniel, someone's targeting me. My account's locked, clients are bailing. Help me. Her voice broke. A plea I'd once have answered. Now I let silence stretch. "What did you do, Claire?" I asked, low, deliberate. She gasped, then hung up. No confession, but fear, real, raw fear. I savored it, my revenge's first taste. The ring, the footage, the article, they'd hit soon, each a deeper cut. I wanted her to lose everything. Her gallery, her lover, her mask. I'd expose the ring last. A final twist. Proof she'd replaced me entirely. I sat in our kitchen, her lavender candles unlit, the house cold. Tomorrow, the journalist's story would break. Her clients would flee. Emily would turn away. Evan's world would shrink, too. His muse a curse. My plan was alive, its gears grinding, and I was its architect, watching the structure of her life crumble. My love for her now a ghost, fueling a vengeance as cruel as her betrayal. The journalist's article hit at dawn. A digital dagger. Portland gallery owner faces financial, ethical questions. Claire's name was front and center. Her secret account exposed. Her gallery's questionable practices, detailed with Roy's leaked records. The piece hinted at personal misconduct, citing credible sources about her trips to Seattle. Comments flooded in, art collectors outraged, artists distancing themselves. Her gallery's social media was a graveyard, posts buried under accusations. I read it at my desk, coffee untouched, my pulse steady. This was my design executed flawlessly. Claire's burner phone lit up, texts from Evan frantic. "This is everywhere. My agent's gone, patrons are bailing. What did you tell people?" Her reply was desperate. "Nothing. Someone's after us." I smirked, their panic a symphony. Emily texted me, distraught. "Claire's a mess, says it's lies. I don't know what to believe." I called her, voice heavy. "I found things, Em. Photos, a ring, not mine." She gasped, promising to confront Claire. Perfect. Her family, her anchor, was slipping away. Roy confirmed Claire was back in Portland, not Seattle. She'd cut her trip short, likely scrambling to save her gallery. I checked her bank. Her secret account was still frozen. Her landlord's eviction notice public. Her clients were gone. 2 artists had pulled their work, citing trust issues. The collector I'd tipped had shared the loft footage, now circulating in art circles. Claire's reputation, her lifeblood, was dust. Evan's world was collapsing too. His grants revoked, his next show canceled. Mara's posts fueled the fire, calling him a fraud in love and art. I sent the final email anonymous to Claire's entire contact list, clients, friends, her old professor. It included the loft footage, her whisper to Evan, "You're my home." The subject line, "Who is Claire Harper?" I attached a photo of the ring, cropped to her hand, with a note, "Ask her about this." No explanation, just truth, raw and sharp. I pictured her opening it, her face crumpling, her lies exposed to everyone she charmed. Evan got a copy, a seed to sow distrust. Let him wonder if she'd betrayed him too. Claire called, sobbing. "Daniel, everything's falling apart. Someone sent videos, lies about me. Please, help me." Her voice, once my world, was a stranger's. I paused, letting her pain echo. "What ring, Claire?" I asked, soft, lethal. She froze, then hung up. No confession, but silence. Guilt's loudest cry. I leaned back, my revenge nearing its peak. One final move remained, the cruelest cut, to ensure she'd never rebuild. I'd take her identity as she'd taken mine, and leave her nothing but truth. I didn't confront Claire. Words were weak. Actions were my language now. She returned home that night, eyes red, her cedar scent faint. "Daniel," she whispered, "we need to talk." I nodded, face blank, and followed her to the kitchen. She babbled, her gallery's ruin, Emily's anger, the article. "Someone's destroying me," she said, hands shaking. "Why?" I sipped water, my silence a blade. "You tell me," I said, eyes locked on hers. She looked away, the ring gone from her finger, but its ghost lingered. I pulled the financial lever. My lawyer filed the fraud motion, naming Claire's secret account. The court froze her gallery's assets, A public record that hit the news by noon. Harper Gallery faces legal woes. Her landlord evicted her, the space listed for lease. I'd insured it, tipping him anonymously about her finances. Her dream, her escape, was gone. I watched her check her phone, panic rising as emails poured in. Friends questioning, artists abandoning, her world shrinking to a pinprick. Evan was next. I sent his patrons a final package. Claire's texts, proving she'd funded the loft, captioned, "His muse or his meal ticket?" His reputation, already battered, collapsed. Mara tweeted a link to the article, adding, "Knew he'd crash again. His career was over, his home with Claire a mirage." I imagined them arguing, trust fractured, their bond a casualty of my design. Claire's burner phone showed no new texts from him. Good. Let her feel his absence as I'd felt hers. I met Emily for coffee, playing the broken husband. She wore his ring, I said, showing her the photo. Emily cried, vowing to cut Claire off. She's not my sister anymore. I nodded, hiding my satisfaction. Claire's family, her last refuge, was gone. The journalist called, fishing for more. I fed her a tip. Check Harper's maiden name on a Seattle lease. The next story would bury Claire deeper, her secret life fully exposed. I didn't need to see it. I'd built the machine. That night, Claire packed a bag, her movements frantic. "I'm staying with a friend," she mumbled, avoiding my eyes. "Which one?" I asked, calm. She flinched, no answer. I let her go, knowing she had nowhere left. Her friends had seen the footage, her sister had turned away. Evan was silent. My revenge was nearly complete, but one stroke remained, the cruelest. I'd take her art, her core, and make it mine. I'd auction her paintings, anonymously, proceeds to a charity she'd never know. Her identity, her freedom, would dissolve, leaving only the wife who'd betrayed me. I watched her car vanish, my heart cold. My plan a cathedral of consequences, its spires piercing her sky. Claire was gone, our house empty, her lavender candles unlit. I didn't chase her. She'd fled to a friend's, or maybe nowhere, her world in ruins. The gallery was shuttered, its sign removed, a for lease notice taped to the door. The art world had moved on, her name a cautionary tale. Emily hadn't spoken to her in weeks, her silence a wall. Evan's career was dead, his website offline, his loft lease canceled. Roy confirmed they hadn't met since Seattle. Their home was ash, my revenge its flame. I executed the final cut. Claire's paintings, stored in her studio, were her soul vibrant, chaotic, her truest self. I contacted an auction house, anonymous, claiming they were found works by an unknown artist. I included the blue-gray canvas signed, for E, her gift to Evan. The auction was quiet, online, proceeds donated to a women's shelter. The irony was cruel. She'd sought freedom. But her art, her identity, now funded strangers, not her. I mailed her the auction receipt. No note, just the total, $8,000. Let her wonder who'd taken her heart. The journalist's second story ran, "Gallery owner's double life revealed." It detailed the Seattle lease, Claire's maiden name, the ring. Comments called her a fraud, a traitor. I didn't read them. I'd seen enough. Her burner phone, left behind, showed one text from Evan, "You ruined us." Nothing from her. I crushed the phone under my boot, its screen splintering. My lawyer closed the fraud case, seizing Claire's secret account. The funds went to our mortgage, tying her to me even in ruin. I didn't gloat. Revenge wasn't joy. It was justice, cold and final. Claire had sought herself in Evan, wearing his ring, calling him home. I'd stripped that illusion, leaving her bare. No gallery, no family, no lover, no art. My cruelty was in her loss, not pain. A mirror to her betrayal, reflecting her choices. I imagined her now, alone. The ring's weight a memory. Her freedom a lie she'd told herself. I sold our house, the cedar walls too full of ghosts. I moved to Boise, a new job, a new life. Claire never called, never wrote. Emily said she'd moved east, maybe Chicago, starting over. I didn't care. My love for her was gone, burned in the fire I'd set. I kept one painting, a small one she'd made early in our marriage. Two figures, blurred, holding hands. It hung in my new apartment, a reminder. Trust is fragile, betrayal is human, and revenge, when built right, is eternal. I poured whiskey, toasted the silence, and turned away, my blueprint complete. Her world a memory I'd never revisit, its ashes scattered by the wind of my design.